The valley of Tsukihara was known for its silence, not the kind of silence that feels empty, but the kind that lets you hear the things inside yourself. Renji had lived there his whole life, 17 years old, quiet, respectful, always doing what was expected. He was the son of a teacher, grandson of a monk, and great-grandson of a sword-maker. Everyone in the village said he would be someone important, because he came from important people. But Renji didn't know who he was. He woke up early. He studied what he was told. He bowed when he should, smiled when it was polite, and he waited for the feeling that one day it would all make sense. That one day he'd feel like he belonged in the story written for him. That feeling never came, until the day he didn't follow the path to school, but walked the other way. The path Renji took that morning led into the forest, dense, quiet, and unfamiliar. He hadn't planned anything. He wasn't running away. He just didn't want to keep walking a road that never felt like his. He walked until the trees grew thick enough to block the light, and the air felt cooler. The noise in his head, the voices of expectations, the weight of legacy, began to fade. Then, ahead on the trail, he saw a man sitting beside a crooked cedar tree. Not old, not young, dressed in plain clothes, eyes closed, hands resting in his lap like he had nothing to hold on to. Renji hesitated, then sat down across from him without a word. Minutes passed in silence until the man opened his eyes and asked, "Whose dream are you living?" Renji didn't answer. He couldn't. He had never been asked that question, not like that. The man smiled softly. "That's the first sign you're starting to wake up." Renji stared at the man, unsure whether to speak or just listen. There was something about him, like the forest itself, calm, rooted, unbothered by time. "I don't know what I want," Renji finally said. "That's not true," the man replied. "You just haven't had the silence to hear it." Renji lowered his head. "Everyone already decided for me. Who I'll be, what I'll do, even how I should feel." The man nodded slowly. "And you've been obedient, a good boy, a good son, a good dreamer of other people's dreams." Renji looked up, heart beating faster now. "But if you were alone in the world," the man continued, "with no one watching, no one expecting, what would you choose?" The wind rustled through the cedar branches above them. Renji didn't answer, not yet. But something inside him stirred, like a breath held too long, finally ready to be released. If this light speaks to something inside you, subscribe and ring the bell. Maybe it's time to stop hiding your own. They sat in silence for a while longer. Then the man stood up and pointed toward a narrow trail that split from the main one, overgrown, shadowed, almost invisible. "That path leads somewhere," he said, "but it's not on any map." Renji followed his gaze. "Most people don't take it," the man continued. "It doesn't come with approval, or applause, or certainty." Renji felt the weight of his backpack, filled with books he didn't choose, notebooks filled with other people's expectations. "Where does it go?" he asked. The man shrugged gently. "Wherever you go." Renji looked down at his hands. For the first time they felt empty. Not in a weak way, in a freeing way. Like he didn't have to carry anyone else's story anymore. The man stepped back, fading into the trees as softly as he had appeared. Renji was alone again. And for the first time in his life, he didn't feel lost. Renji stood at the edge of the hidden trail, the forest breathing slow around him. Behind him was the life already written, school bells, polite nods, the quiet burden of being who he should be. Ahead was only trees, silence, and the unknown. No one would know if he turned left or right. No one was watching. And maybe that's why it mattered. He took one step, then another. The trail didn't welcome him. It didn't unfold with magic or answers. It stayed narrow, uneven, wild. But something in him shifted with each step, like shedding a skin that never fit right. The voices in his head quieted. The tightness in his chest loosened. He didn't know where the trail would lead, but for the first time, He was the one walking it, not being walked through it. That evening, as the sky faded to ash and gold, Renji sat beneath a tall tree, breath slow, heart still. He hadn't gone far, maybe a mile, maybe less. But the distance wasn't what changed him. It was the direction. The weight he always carried, the invisible pressure to be someone else's dream, had slipped away somewhere along the path. And what remained was light. Not a loud, burning kind. A steady one. The kind you notice when everything else is finally quiet. He didn't know what would come next. He didn't need to. For now, he had done the one thing he had never done before. He had chosen. And sometimes, that's where real life begins. Not with a shout, but with a whisper that says, "This is me." What part of your life are you living for someone else? And what would it look like to finally live it for you?